We also have a distorted view. We tend to see where there is no self, a self. And here this word self is used with the understanding of an overinflated false sense of me. So here when we say no self, we're not saying no me, no person. There's no Buddhist tradition that accepts that. That's nihilism. We're just saying that now we have an overinflated false sense of me. And that is this grasping to self. And so that is a distorted view. And then also, we tend to see things which are dependent as independent. And again, here I think probably most of us in this room have some intellectual acceptance of the idea of interdependency. But again, I think experientially that's not really how we see things. That we really tend to see that there is an independent me here and an independent objective world out there. And so, of course, according to Buddhism, this is a distorted view. And so these are the 4 distorted views that we'll be looking at in the second half. And to, of course, to overcome these 4 distorted views, we need to gain 4 insights. And so, of course, the first insight we need to gain is an insight into impermanence to overcome the first distorted view. The second insight is an insight into suffering to overcome seeing pleasure as happiness. The third insight is an insight into no self, to overcome this grasping to self. And the fourth insight is an insight into emptiness, to overcome grasping to things existing independently. So these are the 4 insights that we will be working with over the coming days to overcome these 4 distorted views. And so we saw there that the framework of practice that we have is called the 3 higher trainings. The first, of course, the foundation of our practice is ethics. In Sanskrit, Shila. So again, the core of this is simply avoiding harmful behaviour. And on that basis we engage in the concentration practice. In Sanskrit that is samadhi, developing concentration. And here we saw that this practice in the first half of the retreat, of course, we were referring to as Shamatha practice. In the Theravada Buddhist traditions, when they talk about concentration practice, usually you won't hear this word shamatha. You'll hear another word, jhana. They say, we're doing jhana practice. So jhana practice is the same practice as concentration practice. And the third element, core element on the practice, on the basis of concentration, of course, is the wisdom practice, in Sanskrit, prajna. And here we are using the Sanskrit term Vipashyana. And of course, in the Theravada Buddhist traditions, they use the Pali term Vipassana. So this wisdom practice, or Vipashyana or Vipassana practice, is to be done on the basis of the concentration practice, which is of course on the basis of ethics. Because without, again, putting some effort into the concentration practice, we can put a lot of time and energy into this and not really get anywhere, because because here we're trying to investigate, and it's very difficult to do that if we're not focused, if our mind is completely distracted or very dull or drowsy. Now, so these are the 4 insights that we are gathering. So in the Theravada traditions, when they talk about doing the wisdom practice or the Vipassana practice, they're mainly referring to these first 3. And these are called the 3 marks of existence. So in Theravada tradition, Vipassana practice entails coming to the insights of impermanence, suffering, no self. Whereas in the Mahayana traditions, based on Sanskrit of course, when we say we're doing Vipassana practice, of course it includes those 3, but at the deepest level it's really about this insight into emptiness. So often when people in Mahayana tradition saying they're doing Vipassana practice, mainly they're talking about gaining this insight into emptiness. But as we're going to see, they're in this order for a particular reason. Because each one of these insights is really the basis of the next one. So even though we're going to spend quite some time on this emptiness insight, today we're going to mainly be focusing here at the first insight, impermanence. Because this is really the basis of the other insights. And at the foundation level, when we're coming to these 3 insights of the 3 marks of existence, there's a very classic way of doing that. And the very classic approach is called the 4 applications of mindfulness. So remember, in the Shamatha practice, we are cultivating mindfulness, we're strengthening mindfulness. Then, with that mindfulness, we apply that mindfulness in Vipassana to investigate. And this is called the 4 applications of moment. And what we're doing is we're investigating 4 things. We are investigating the body, we're investigating feelings, and remember here feelings doesn't mean emotions. Feelings means simply experiencing things as pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. And then we're investigating the mind, and then we're investigating phenomena in general. And we have them in this order for a particular reason. In fact, there are a number of reasons why we have in this order. One is that this is going from more easy to more difficult, but also this is, as we're going to see a little bit later, this is really the order in which we start to go wrong.
So what is the first one?
Phenomena means just everything that exists. Feelings is just a mental factor that experiences things as either pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. That's all. And so that's why now we're going to start by applying mindfulness to the body, because it's more easy and it's really the beginning of where we go wrong. And what we're going to do now is we're going to investigate the body in terms of the first insight, impermanence. To come to really see experientially that everything in the body is changing moment by moment. So that's the practice we're going to do now, and we'll continue a number of times this morning. So and those of you, of course, who have done Goenka Vipassana retreat know this very well. Because Goenka Vipassana retreat is within the Theravada tradition, and this is exactly what is done in this retreat, because this is like an entry-level retreat, a retreat for beginners, so we start at the beginning. And it's called a 10-day Vipassana retreat, but technically that's incorrect. Because for the first 3.5 days you do no Vipassana. You're just doing Shamatha. You're just focusing at the entrance of the nostrils, 10 hours a day for 3.5 days. Why? The hope that we can develop some ability to concentrate. Because if we don't, no point doing Vipassana. So that's why for the first 3.5 days there's no Vipassana, it's just 10 hours a day of Shamatha. Then, for the next 5 days or so, then they do Vipassana. And Vipassana there, of course, is they start at the beginning. So they're applying mindfulness to the body to come to the insight into impermanence. And they do that by scanning the body. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do this entry-level Vipassana practice, investigating the body to come to see that everything in the body is changing moment by moment. Clear? Any questions? Okay, let's do that practice. And so what we're going to do is scan through the body and to see, is there anything there that is stable and unchanging, or is everything changing moment by moment? Setting the body into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. Using the out-breath to relax and release any tightness or tension in any part of the body. Allowing the breathing to flow naturally and effortlessly. Allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. Simply becoming aware of the sensations of the breath. So we can begin our Vipashyana practice by applying mindfulness to the body, to investigating the reality of the body, on the basis of the question, is there anything in the body that is stable and unchanging? Or is everything changing moment by moment? And so we can begin by bringing our attention to the crown of the head and observing any sensations there. And then slowly moving your attention down to the area of the face, observing any sensations there. And then moving your attention slowly around to the back of your head, observing any sensations there. Moving slowly down to the area of the neck. And then moving slowly across to the left shoulder, observing any sensations there. Moving slowly down to the left upper arm. Moving down to the left lower arm, forearm. And moving slowly down to the left hand, observing any sensations there. Right down to the fingertips. And then moving back up to the right shoulder. the right upper arm. Moving down to the right forearm. And down to the right hand. Right down to the fingertips. And then moving back up to the upper back area, the area between the shoulder blades. Moving slowly down to the middle back area. And moving down to the lower back area, observing any sensations there. And then moving back up to the upper chest area. Down to the middle chest area. Moving slowly down to the area of the stomach. Observing any sensations there. And moving slowly down to the area of the abdomen. And then moving slowly across to the left hip. Moving slowly down to the left thigh.